because I named this message Some Things, because I didn't know exactly what it was about. So it's about some things, and some things, and they're maybe not all connected. But the first thing that I wanted to say is, what spills out of us is what we carry. You've heard that, right? What spills out of us is what we carry. And I was at the Y earlier this week, and I was sitting on the bike, and I noticed that I'm always behind the people on the treadmills. They're up here. And there was this young black woman on the treadmill over here, and she had her earphones in, and she was doing her thing, but not real loud. She was walking, and on the treadmill next to her was this older gentleman who obviously is careful about his balance. And he was starting to get off the treadmill, and he knew that he had to grab on the arm of this treadmill and her treadmill as well. But he was a little hesitant, because you know how people can be when somebody gets in your space, right? But he was coming down like this, and she noticed him. She did not ignore him. She did not pretend he wasn't there. She looked around at him, and he said to her, "I have Parkinson's." Right? And he's reaching over, and the first thing she said was, "Can I help you? Can I help you?" And he said, "No, I just need to," and he didn't even finish his sentence. And she said, "Well, go ahead and grab on there." Right? That's the first thing that came out of her mouth. That's the first thing. The first thing was not, "Somebody's in my space," or "What's this old white man doing coming over toward me?" or something else, but "How can I help you?" Or "Do you need some help? Can I help you?" Because you see, what spills out is what you carry. And I've got to think that this woman, this young woman, is carrying kindness, because that's what spilled out of her. It was not resistance, it was not judgment, it was not get out of my, it was kindness. Kindness spilled out of her, and that's what happens. When, not what you stop to think about, not what you figure, but immediately what comes out of you. Immediately what spills out of you is what you carry. It was beautiful to me. He reached over, he struggled to get down, she was aware of him but didn't get in his space either, because when he didn't want any help, she didn't say, "Well, let me do this for you." She respected him as well. I think respect is something she carries, because that's what spilled out immediately, without any thought, without any consideration beyond the immediate moment, because that's what she carried. Not what you think about. You could think of other things. If you carry fear, fear spills out. If you carry judgment, judgment spills out. If you carry indifference, indifference spills out. If you carry curiosity, that's what spills out. If you carry kindness, if you carry compassion, that's what spills out. In those moments, in the immediate moments when you have an encounter with someone, that's what spills out. Because here's the truth. Here's the truth from Paul Coelho, who says, "The world is changed by your example, not by your opinion. The world is changed by the demonstration that you give. It's changed by the energy you bring to something, whether it's your actions or your words. Can I help?" That changes the world. It's changed by not what you think, but how you present yourself to the world. Your words and your actions. That's what it is. The world is looking for that. The world is looking for an exhibition and a demonstration, because that's the vibration that impacts us. That's how it works, in my opinion. So I say, pay attention to your own self. What spills out of you? Especially when someone just gets on your last nerve. What spills out of you? Because whatever spills out of you is what you're carrying. All right? And it's not a judgment then for you to have to defend yourself because, well, but when this happened, then I had to do. No, it's not about that. It's about deciding, I'm carrying that. That's what I'm carrying. I'm carrying this anger. I'm carrying this frustration. It's not about is it good or bad. It's about noticing what you carry, because that's what spills out into the world. And what I want to do, and what my commitment is, as often as I can, is to spill out what I want the world to give back to me and what I want it to become and to be. Kindness, those sorts of things. So pay attention, and pay attention too, maybe, to what you withhold. To what you withhold in those situations. You withhold something you keep secret, something you're ashamed of, something that just to notice what you hold back on. Maybe you hold back on encouragement. It's like, why would I not encourage that person? You know, why did I hold back? Why was what spilled out of me judgment, indifference? You know, think about the guy you saw in the corner or the gal you saw in the corner asking for money. What spilled out of you then? What spilled out of you online when somebody made a statement that was in direct conflict with the way you believe things should be? What spills out of you? What spills out of me? This is an invitation to recognize that. Not so that you can judge it either, but to recognize the choice you have about what you carry. Because you do get to decide what you carry. All right? That's the first something that I wanted to talk about. Here's the other question that came up to me. What do you let control your life? Who and what do you let control your life? Because here's the thing. Again, you decide. You decide what to let in. You decide how much space to give it. And you decide what story you tell about whatever happens or whoever it is. Like, you get to decide all that. Aren't you powerful? You get to decide all that. So, who do you let and how do you let things control your life? Because all sorts of things happen all the time to everybody. But you always get to decide what to let in, how much space to give it, and the story you tell yourself about it. You decide based on what's important to you, is what I think. You decide based on what's important to you. For instance, if you decide, as I have in that prayer, if you decide that peace is the most important thing to you, then it follows that you would make decisions and choices and words and actions that supported you having peace in yourself, regardless of anything else, right? Am I committed to that? Do I do that all the time, every day, to the best of my ability? That's the question, because it might call me to shift my perspective about something. It might call me even to change a belief of what I believe about something. But if I am committed to something and it's valuable to me, I can choose how much of this to let in, how much space I give it in me. Like, I choose that, and what story I choose to call it. That's up to me. You get to decide. So, it's all about this expectations thing. I think there's a real big link to expectations. Because if I want to carry peace, if I want to carry respect, if I want to carry kindness, and then I like to say, but he, she, they did this, and and they're doing this, and they're bombing this, and they're killing this, and they're doing this, how could I possibly be at peace? Because we expect others to be the way we expect them to be. And we expect situations to be the way we expect them to be. That's it in a nutshell, really. We expect it to be the way we expect it. We expect them to be the way we think they should be. And we have that expectation, and so we're disappointed, and so it disturbs us, and so it disturbs our peace, for instance. But one of the things, I've talked about this before, one of when I first started my conscious spiritual journey, I started with this book, Conversations with God, Book 1 by Neale Donald Walsch. I picked it up off a shelf back in 1996 or 7, and off the self-help section in the Barnes & Noble that was about this big. That back then it was very small. I guess we need a lot more help today than we needed back in 1997. And the quote that I remember out of this book has always been, the greatest freedom in the world is to live without expectation. I'm like, But when I picked it up to look at the actual quote in here, that's what I always remember. Paula, the greatest freedom in the world is to live without expectation. Here's what it actually says, which is close, but not exactly that. It's here somewhere. Here it is. I still have tags in it and everything. These are probably from 1997. They're still sticking. Incredible. To live your life without expectation, without the need for specific results, that is freedom. That is godliness. That is how I live. That's God talking here. Let me read it again. God's talking to Walsh saying, to live your life without expectation, without the need for specific results, that is freedom. That is godliness. That is how I live without expectation. I'm like, yes. When I read that, I was 37 or 38 years old. I thought, wow, is that really possible? Like, I had a full list of expectations about everybody, especially people in my family or people at work, people real close by. You know that. I'm guessing you probably can relate to that. I had a whole list of expectations, and why not? Because I was right. But the thing, so when I read this, I was like, man, that's incredible, because I know how I feel when I have an expectation of someone else and it's not met. I have that tension in me. I have that feeling in my stomach that's not so. It's not a feeling of freedom. And if I could live this way, I thought if I could live this way, that would be incredible. And I wrote in the column here, like, that would be with a star. Freedom. Like, do you want that? Do you want freedom? Do I want freedom? Would I make the choices that give me the experience of freedom, which is not having expectations of other people? It's a life work. It's a life work. This is something, just because I knew it doesn't mean it happened. But other people are not, we can't control other people. We know that. You know that. If somebody says, you would know that. You wouldn't even tell somebody else that. But do we live our lives as if that's the truth? Do we release those things? I submit to say we need some practice. I know I do. But here's what we can, because expectation is about control. It's about control. I want it to be this way. It's not that way. I don't like it. But what do we control? You know what we can control? We can control our emotions. We have 100% control of our emotions. And it's okay. You say, well, when something sad happens, I automatically cry. Well, yeah, it's congruent with that happening. But I'm talking about the reactions we have to things that we don't like. And people we don't like. We can control our presence. We can control our presence. We can control the way we show up to life. That practice of saying that this is going to be my peaceful day has changed the way I show up to life in many situations. Not all. I'm not talking about I'm now perfect and everyone should follow in my footsteps. I'm talking about it's helped me be a better me on my road. On my road. You can control your reaction. You can control your words. There's a reason we have that phrase, bite your tongue. We can control our words. We can control our eyes and our expression. You know that. I'm terrible with that, because it'll be right out there. Renee will say I'll do something, I'll be like, you know that, but I can control that. It's in my control. It's my choice to do that or not. You can refuse to be controlled by anything outside of you. You can refuse to be controlled by anything outside. You can refuse to be triggered by the things that are happening and by people that are intent on triggering you. You can do that. You have that power. You have that. You just have to practice. Right? You have to practice that. You have to if you want peace in your life, you have to practice having peace in your life. You have to practice letting. So you have to let go. I have to let go. I don't have to, but the path is to let go of expectations. So I thought I'd give you a few to work on, because these came up for me. Here's the first one. I think it's on the, yeah. Stop expecting other people to understand you. Stop wasting your energy. Just stop expecting other people to understand you. There will be other people on your life path, I will guarantee you, that will not understand you. They will not understand me. But we think that if we could just tell them and explain to them in detail about this, that they will surely change their mind and come into this realization and we could walk down the rosy path together. No, it doesn't always happen that way. It might happen that way, but stop expecting that. Even Jesus said when he was telling his disciples about going out and spreading the word, he said, listen, if you go into a town and they're not ready to hear you, shake the dust from your feet and go on. He didn't say hang out and beat them to death. He didn't say that. He didn't say that. Start your church here and convert them all. He didn't say that. He said shake the dust from your feet and go to the next town. In the Message Bible, it describes it this way. He says, when you knock on a door, be courteous in your greeting. If they welcome you, be gentle in your conversation. If they don't welcome you, quietly withdraw. Don't make a scene. Shrug your shoulders and be on your way. I want that peacefulness. Stop wasting your energy, me wasting my energy as well, trying to convince people to understand the way I understand something. It sounds so simple, but we forget. We forget. Because we are convinced we're right, number one, and that everybody should be able to see it the way we see it. That's what we're convinced of. It's just not true. And eventually, when it happens, when we're able to do that, we can experience that freedom. Eventually, when we're able to let people be as they are, it's a relief. It's actually a relief. And it creates that space. Amanda Grace was talking about it. What doesn't kill me leaves space for what I don't know. What doesn't kill me leaves space for what I don't know, but I'm saying, you know what it leaves space in me for? It leaves space in me for love to grow. It leaves space in me for the way I want to be, for what I want to spill out. That's not the other thing. Like it leaves that space in me. Like that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what happens eventually when I practice acceptance. Instead of practicing expecting you to understand everything the way I understand it as well. Yeah? That's a practice. Here's another one. And I got this from this Henry David Thoreau quote book that I've been reading for a couple weeks now. That was suggested by Kathleen over at Pomegranate Books. We had a reading over there. Debbie Creasy had invited me to a reading of, it's National Poetry Month. So we went over and read some poems from Mary Oliver. Mm-hmm. And Kathleen was reading this book, and I'm like, I'm a Thoreau fan, so I had to have it. So in here he has a quote about fences, but I want to talk to you about fences. Fences. Like, what do we think about fences? Fences, when I think about them, before reading this, fences are something that create a boundary, right? They create a limit. They put people on one side, they put people on the other side. They keep something in, they keep something out. These fences. Fences have signs on them. They say, danger, keep out, right? They say, danger, beware of dog. The sign on our fence at Summerlin Falls says, please keep gate closed, dogs in yard. I like ours. It's kind of please keep gate closed. It separates things. Fences are to separate, right? They're to separate and to divide. That's what fences are about. We even have we think of jump the fence. Jump the fence, we think somebody's getting away, right? Jump the fence, there's this line. Let me tell you what Thoreau thought about a fence that he saw. Let me read this from April 27th. In that little pasture of potters under the oak, I am struck with the advantage of the fence in landscapes. Okay, here is but half acre enclosed, but the fence has the effect of confining the attention to this little undulation of the land and to make you consider it by itself. And the importance of the oak is proportionally increased. This formation of the surface would be lost in an unfenced prairie. But the fence, which nearly enough defines it, frames it and presents it as a picture. Who looks at a fence that way? He does. He's seeing something totally, I wouldn't see that. I wouldn't see that at all. You know what we would see, some of us would see? Well, we can't get close to that oak and get underneath the shade, can we? Because there's a fence around it, right? We'd have that kind of thing. Like fences, like the way we look at things. So here's the thing I came up with. Stop expecting others to see the world the way you see the world. Just stop. They don't see it that way. Thoreau doesn't see it the way I saw it when I first started talking about fences. People don't see, Renee and I can look at the exact same thing and see two different things. Exactly. I'm like, really? You saw that? Yeah. In fact, she sees brown when I see black. She doesn't even, we don't even see the same colors. Colors. How could you know that today, May 3rd, is our 25th anniversary? But we don't see the same thing. We don't see the same thing. Sometimes I do expect her to see the same thing. I do. But I know she doesn't. I know she does. The way she goes approaches something, a problem, totally different. Totally different. So it's not about right and wrong, it's just different. To not expect everyone to see the world the way you see it. It's not happening. Even to people we love the most. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen how you see it. Anais Nin's famous quote is this: we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. That's it. We see it as we are. We don't see it the way someone else sees it. To expect others to understand us and to see the world the way we see it is a formula that handcuffs us. It is not freedom at all. The freedom is to let others be as they are. It doesn't mean that we have to subject ourselves to abuse or those sorts of things. It's about recognizing, I want my freedom. And my freedom comes inside of me. I want my peace, and my peace comes from inside of me. I want to be grounded in my center. That's what I want. So this is how I practice. These are ways to practice that. You don't have to do them. You don't have to do any of these things. I mean, I've reminded you that many times here. You don't have to do anything. Nothing. There is nothing you have to do. Nothing. So you get to choose, and you get to decide how you want to be and what you want to spill over. So I have a question. I didn't know if I was going to do this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I have this prepared. No, this one's old here. So we have our picnic after the service today, right? Are you excited about that? Yeah. So speaking of expectations, I had advertised that we were having fried chicken today. Are you excited about fried chicken?
Yeah.
We're not having it. I'm sorry to stamp on your expectation because it was advertised that way, and I thought we were having it too, but yesterday it changed. And so instead of chicken, we're having ham. Is that okay with you? If it's not, shrug your shoulders. Take the dust off your feet and go home if you don't want it, right? I mean, that's the choice you have. But what I want to know from you all is I want to know what you want to spill out of you during this picnic. I want to know what you want to spill out of you during our time together. Tell me.
Joy.
Ah, that's a good one.
Connection.
Uh-huh.
Wonder. Oh, friendship.
Who said over here something happening? Acceptance.
Curiosity.
Uh-huh.
Love.
Love.
Hope.
Hope.
The next right thing.
The next right thing. Who said something over here?
Humor.
Humor.
Someone said friendship.
Friendship.
Peace.
Peace.
Fried chicken.
No fried chicken. No fried chicken.
Relaxation. Listening. Relaxation. Community. Fun.
Yeah. So this is what you want to spill out of you. So remember that. Chicken doesn't make any difference, does it? Somebody did say chicken, but that was David. He'll be here, you watch him. He'll be here, his plate will be full, you watch. It'll be all right. This is if I want this to spill out of me, then pay attention. Pay attention to how we treat each other. Pay attention to how we go through the line. Pay attention to how we help each other. Pay attention to how I want care. Pay attention to how we care for each other. Kindness. Pay attention to how we're kind. All right? This is what I want. This is what I want to spill out. This and not the food will make it an amazing event. This will make it amazing. This vibration will not just make a difference here, it will make a difference in this neighborhood, in this community, in this world. It will make a difference. Now, you don't have to believe that, but I do. I do. I have proof in my life that this makes a difference. I know that that young woman on that treadmill is making a difference. I know it. I just know it because I can feel it. I can feel it. It wasn't just something I saw, it was a kindness that I felt. So I'm going to take this outside and hopefully it won't blow away so that you can look over here and remind yourself, because reminders are good. For a while I had to have a little sticky on my nightstand that reminded me this is going to be my peaceful day until it began to be part of me. Until it began. So I'll just put it outside. And maybe I'll even put this with it. And if you have another word you want to put on here, please do that. All right? Stop expecting other people to understand you, and stop expecting them to see the world the way you see the world. And let the space that opens up be filled with what you want to spill out in the world. Yeah? That's the some things I had for you today. All right? So let's take a few minutes and go into meditation for just a little while this morning. So take a deep breath. Close your eyes and just be still where you are for a few minutes. To maybe consider, what does spill out of me? Not to judge it, to notice it. To notice it and decide, is that what I want to spill into the world? Take a deep breath in and one out. And just for these few moments, just consider and notice, what is it that I let spill into the world? let's just remember this simple thing. What spills out is what I carry. To not judge it, but to notice it. And then to decide, is this the energy that I want to gift to the world? Is this my highest and best? Is this what I want to offer? And then decide. Because what spills out is what we carry. Amen.